Hey everybody, it's Adam Dye, amateur radio call sign N4NT, here with the Racing, Wrestling, and Radios podcast. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about the ARRL DXCC Challenge Award. Now, a few years ago, when I finally relocated out of living in a townhouse where I couldn't have any kind of HF antennas or anything, I had spent before that, about a decade or so before that, I'd spent quite a bit of time on HF from my personal station. I did a lot of horse trading, had a Kenwood TS2000, had a Yaesu FT847, the 950, and I started out with a Ten-Tech Omni D during that time. So I was always trading around, just trying different radios, and I was discovering digital modes, PSK31 back then, was working some CW and made a little bit of headway toward making some DX contacts. Well, in 2018, when I moved into the current house that I'm in right now, and I had a few more trees and had the availability to get back onto HF, I purchased a radio and an interface and got back on the radio. And I discovered FT8, and I started really chasing after my DXCC. I was, I think maybe 70 countries or something confirmed, something like that. And I started doing that, and I got my DXCC, and then I started looking at getting it for different modes. I started looking at 5-band DXCC. I purchased an amplifier. I purchased a hex beam, did a lot of things like that, and started really enhancing my station. And I started getting DXCC on various bands until finally, recently, I obtained the 5-band DXCC award with endorsements on a couple or 3 other bands. Well, one of the things that I kept noticing when I would look at my award matrix on the LOTW website was down there toward the bottom, it had a category called Challenge. And I noticed there was a score there and everything, and I didn't think a whole lot about it. I was more concerned with DXCC and trying to get DXCC on various modes, various bands, and then do the 5-band thing. So I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it. And in the course of trying to get my 5-band DXCC, I started doing a little research. I was trying to figure out what the DX challenge was. And one of the things that surprised me a little bit was I asked some of my fellow hams who were really into awards and contesting. I was like, what is this exactly? And they weren't completely sure. So I looked it up on the website as well, and reading the description of it, I wasn't 100% sure still yet after reading the description. My initial thought that it would just had to do with making like 1,000 DX contacts, and it didn't matter as long as they were different stations. It didn't matter who or where. Well, I was wrong about that. I actually got on the air and just started working everything that I had never worked before, and I noticed that number only went up in small increments. So ultimately what I did figure out is that award is based on the number of contacts per band with different countries. And I'm kind of talking this from a little bit of a beginner type thing. I'll break it down that way, but I'm also talking to folks that have been in the hobby for a while and maybe not exactly familiar with what that award is, because I really want to encourage people to try to go for it. If you're on LOTW and you're chasing awards or chasing paper, that one took a while. That one was quite a achievement, and it's one of those things. If you're working toward 5-band DXCC, you're also working toward that, whether you realize it or not. And once you get that far, it kind of falls in line. I did get the DXCC challenge first, because 80 meters took me a little while to kind of finish out. But what it consists of course, you have the various HF bands. You can also count 2 meter, 70 centimeter contacts as well, which, ironically enough, right now, I only have one country confirmed on 2 meters and 70 centimeters, and that's the United States, which that counts. But if you are able to work outside of the United States on either one of those bands, that counts. And then, of course, anything you do on 6 meters. So it really encompasses all the bands, but you're going to get most of your stuff on the HF bands. To give you an example, if I work Spain on 6 meters, or work them on 10 meters, work them on 12 meters, So I work them on those. That's 3 points for every band that I work that country on. Now, if I go back and I work a second Spanish station on 6 meters, well, that doesn't count for any points or anything. It may help me with a grid or something like that. So for every band that you work every country you possibly can. And then when that adds up to 1,000, and you may get for the United States itself, your first contacts while you're trying to get your work to all states. So 2 meters all the way through 160 meters. Each one of those bands, you get 1 point for every time you work the United States. For the first time you work the United States, the first time you work Mexico, the first time you work Canada, Alaska and Hawaii count as their own DXCC entities. Puerto Rico, any United States owned territories that are not part of the mainland. Some of these easier ones that you can work around the United States, you get points for every one of those, every DX contact you make for the first time on any particular band. So that's kind of how that works. I actually achieved that award. I've got it up here on my wall in 2024, the end of 2024. I achieved that award. But the awesome thing is once you get those, you have to get 1,000 points or 1,000 contacts, however you want to word it. It doesn't necessarily have to stop there. You can keep going, and it gets harder and harder. So the first 1,000, if you're working for 5-band DXCC, you're kind of double dipping. But once you get past that, now all of a sudden you're looking at 500 contact increments that you can get endorsements. So right now I'm sitting at the 1,000 mark. I've got about 73 contacts past my 1,000 mark. I probably could have had more, but I've really been heavily concentrating on 80 meters up until a couple months ago when I finally achieved over 100 contacts, DXCCs confirmed on 80 meters. But you can keep going. You can keep getting those endorsements. So if you were wondering about that yourself and wasn't 100% sure, because like I said, I read the directions or the website description of it, and I was still left a little confused. So I thought I would make this video and try to explain it in a little bit of detail, and hope that helps you. I encourage you to. I'm not a paid endorser or anything like that. I know that as far as like legislature and all that kind of stuff, there's a lot of folks who have a lot of negative things to say about the ARRL. They've done things that maybe I'm not real happy with or whatever. But when it comes to the ham radio awards, they are sort of the top notch on that. For as long as I've been in the hobby, over 33 years now, to me that's always been the I've went for other group awards and net awards and EQSL and whatever else, but it just seems like the pinnacle has been those ARRL awards. They've been around longer than anybody. I went for, on the 5-band DXCC, the traditional plaque instead of the newer style awards. So I encourage you to sign up. If you need someone to help you or whatever, maybe I'll do a video later on as far as getting the LOTW set up. Most of your popular logging programs will automatically log to LOTW without any additional effort once you set it up. You just basically keep hammering contacts and it does the work. And it really helps folks out there that are working for awards, because even the DX people, the people outside of the United States, work for the ARRL awards a lot of times. So I hope this helps you. If you have any additional input about this or any questions or anything, drop a comment in the comment section. I would certainly appreciate it. And this is Adam Dye, amateur radio call sign N4NT, saying 7-3.